Hey, this is Drew and Melissa. We are at Affiliate Summit West in Vegas this week, and we thought we would jump in real quick and just give you an update of some of the things we're hearing here, some of the topics that people are talking about. Brands here, publishers are here, and they're really trying to figure out a lot of the things that are going on in the world of search, AI, of answer engines, and things like that. So one of the things we're hearing a lot is, the switch from the brand visibility, how important your brand visibility and your brand sentiment are online. And that's a shift away from just thinking about traffic. Like, how can I get traffic to my website from search engines and things like that? That's still important, but there's a lot more discussion now about how important it is to get mentions out there for your brand, to get different third parties to talk positively about your brands, your products, and your services, because that's what matters. Mentions really matter when it comes to generative AI.
Yep. And I would say what we're noticing is that everybody is asking, in this zero-click world, what do I need to be focusing on? And really, you have to rethink what you're trying to do for your end user. How are you going to sell your product? So it's not just about a mention, it's about the full digital ecosphere of where that mention is at and how they're using other channels to validate that altogether. We just hopped out of Lily Ray's keynote this morning, and she also had referenced that where you're using citations and publishers still work really well for products and brands to get recognized because that's a validation tool. But it's not just the publishers. You also have to think about your socials. So YouTube, Reddit, and Wikipedia were things that she had mentioned are ways in which you can have a lot of validation. But it's not just those. TikTok and Instagram serve as validation markers to show that when a bot and an LLM bot comes through and they're saying, hey, okay, this product looks good. Contextually, this seems like the right answer. Before we serve it to the user, we want to go through and validate and make sure it's a real product. It has real good engagement, good reviews. And so it's looking at that whole digital ecosphere. But because the digital ecosphere is changing, attribution is also changing. So how do you really track that one-to-one ratio? The answer is you can't. You just can't. Between privacies, PPIs, all of that that's kind of coming down, and the lack of pixels and trackability that's going in, it is going to be, and I love one of the speakers yesterday who mentioned this, instead of tracking the one-to-one ratio, you want to know what your pie. When you think about your pie, and you say like, okay, I want to think about 10% of my attribution generatively coming from social, and 35% of it generally coming from search. So that way, you're at least always on the right track to make sure you have a good channel mix rather than relying distinctly on absolute values out of attribution, which is very clever. It's a really good way to think about that, especially as things become so much more blurry and we don't have the actual, our hands on all of the data. That's speaking of data. The other one that I'm noticing, and this is a good conversation, is when it comes to AI search, what is the data really telling us, right? When we look at it, OpenAI and Google, from a Gemini perspective, Perplexity and all those others, they're not handing us the data. So in the past, where Google would go through and say, within Search Console, you could see how many people were coming to your website, or from social, how many people are coming from TikTok or Instagram, so on. We don't have that. So when teams and companies and agencies are giving you insights are like, oh, you have 35% brand visibility within AI LLMs, and those answers, they don't really know because they actually, since we have no absolute hard data from there, you can't get a search volume, you can't get an idea of how many people are ranking for that, but it at least gives you a direction. It is directional. To know how much your brand visibility is showing up within AI. So lots of really great conversations that are happening here for sure.
That is interesting. It's kind of like a shift back to the early days of digital marketing, like when we first started out, because back then it was like, we don't really know what people are doing on websites and social media platforms.
But we know it works.
Yeah. And then, throughout the years, like Google Analytics and all these tools got so much better and we knew what was going on. And now attribution is so hard to figure out. And it's like, you can't stop doing your marketing tactics just because you don't know the source from which the traffic is coming from. And like you said too, on AI platforms, like they don't give you the data like Google Analytics does. They don't reveal what's happening. You have to use third-party tools to figure out like what prompts am I showing up for and stuff. And those third-party tools aren't necessarily 100% accurate.
It's take it with a grain of salt. It literally is take it with a grain of salt because they're not getting the data from those platforms, from OpenAI and Google. And so therefore, those are guesstimates. I mean, let's call it what it is. It is guesstimates. But it's directional and it's better than no visibility at all.
Okay, anything else that really struck you so far? Anything else people are talking about?
I think that's a good summation of everything that I'm hearing. Well, okay, the last piece is just publishers. There's a lot of publishers here and they are asking, what do I do when traffic isn't there? What does a zero-click world really mean for me? And so because of that, it's honestly my advice to them is going to be rethinking their models, their business revenue models. Because if you were always relying on traffic to there push things out, the visibility that you give to other brands and products is still very key. That is something that really moves the needle inside AI Answers and inside Google Search. And remember, Google Search is still the biggest. It is by far still the biggest.
Yes.
And so think about how you present yourself to those products, to those brands, about having them be included in your content rather than it just being thinking about how the loss of traffic. It's really about rethinking your revenue business models.
Then one other thing I would throw out there, and this is something we talk about all the time, but so many people now think that ChatGPT is what it's all about. Google's diminished and everything like that. No, Google still has incredible traffic. Its usage is actually up a little bit year over year.
Yep.
And the biggest generative AI tool that people are using is not ChatGPT, it's Google's AI overviews.
No, AI overviews.
Yeah,
yes,
AI
yes, AI overviews. You're right.
Which
Powered by Gemini.
blows away, powered by Gemini. Yeah, see, right. Powered by Gemini. So I just think as like marketers or publishers or whatever, you got to keep remembering Google. It's still very important.
Yeah. And Google just put out a lot of new releases on Sunday. So for us, 2 days ago, and it's changing the shopping world. I mean, not right now. They were talking about what's coming, but it is going to change it because Google, like a social platform, I mean, Google and all the search engines saw like, hey, what does social have on us? And social, what they had is they knew how to keep all of their people in their platform, right? TikTok users stay within TikTok for like almost 3 hours a day now. And so all of the search engines are trying to figure out, okay, how do we keep them within there? Because if we keep them within our platform, guess what? We get to sell more ads, which means we get to make more money. And so Google's new announcement was that they were going to have a new commerce protocol so that you can check out within Google. So you never have to leave Google to buy a product, essentially is what they're coming for.
And that's what every brand, all these big companies, they all want to keep you in their platform and not go anywhere else. Keep you in the platform as long as possible. So anyway, there you go. There's a little summary. Melissa spoke here today too and had a wonderful session. We'll put some of that on our channel later. Thanks. Talk to you next time.